Okay, so let's dive into Ziggy's training so we can stay consistent at home. We want to make sure we reward Ziggy anytime that he follows our commands or when he's doing the behavior that we want to see. That will increase the rate of that behavior. We also want to follow through with his training equipment to decrease the rate of unwanted behavior by following through when he doesn't do the command that we're asking. So let's go over his training equipment. This is his prong collar. His leash is going to attach to the swivel D-ring, and we're going to use this in a little pop and release motion to get his attention back on what we're trying to get him to focus on, and that's usually going to be listening to a command. To put this on, we're going to take it apart like that, and that's just pushing the prong down the links, and then we are going to put it together by pinching the link right here into the following one. So he's going to wear this anytime he has the leash on in the beginning to make sure that we can follow through with any of the commands that we're giving him. It's also helpful to have the leash on even in the house. That way we can redirect or guide him if he's getting a little confused with the command that we're asking. Then we have his remote collar. So this is a micro remote collar. The red dot right here is a magnetic key to turn on the collar, and the matching red dot is on the remote. We're going to touch the two. Now it's a little bit difficult to show you the green light because it's on the other side, but that green light right there is going to flash. I'm going to show you again to let you know that the collar is on, charged, and ready to go. This model is just made for smaller dogs. We have the on-off button right here. We're going to push and hold that until the screen lights up. And then you're going to see the number 25 on the screen, and we're going to focus on the black S button. So let's go over how to use this training equipment. Let's start with the heel command. So let's say we ask Ziggy to heel. Heel means walk next to us on a loose leash on the left-hand side. If he's doing just that, we're going to reward that behavior with praise, petting, or treats. If he gets a little distracted and isn't walking next to us on a loose leash, we're going to tell him no, follow through with the black S button, and you see that my thumb twitches a little bit. That is because this is an electric muscle stimulator. So no, stim, and if you move it just a little bit, it might not make your thumb twitch. So it's no, give the stimulation, follow through with the command, heel. Heel means, again, walk next to us on a nice loose leash. Now we only need this to follow through as needed. So if he's listening to our command, we don't need to use this for that scenario. For the prong collar, we would just say no and give a little tug of the leash to remind him where to be. So first we use both of them, and then we just use which one is needed at that time. So sometimes it's the collar, or sometimes it's the prong, sometimes it's the remote. It just depends. Okay, so let's go over the other commands for Ziggy. So we have heel, which means walk next to us on a loose leash. We also have free. Free means he is free to be out of a command. He can go explore, sniff. He doesn't have to be in a set command. So I would suggest having him heel 80 to 90% of the time, and then the other 10 to 20% have him free so he can sniff and explore. Then we have sit. So sit means stay until he's told free. So for example, door manners. When we have him sit, we can open the door. Now we have an option to go through the door without him. During that option, we want to remind him to stay by repeating the sit command. So instead of having him memorize what stay means, we just repeat the behavior we want to see. So it would be sit, we go through the threshold, and then we tell him free, or you can just say heel and walk through the threshold together with the sit. If he gets up or doesn't listen to the command, you're going to follow through with your training equipment, have him sit so he understands that your command means to stay until he's told otherwise. Then we have down. Down means lay down and stay until he's told free. Now with down and place, which we're going to talk about in just a second, we don't free from a distance. We always go back to Ziggy, reward him in that behavior, and then we release him from that behavior. So with down, he needs to be laying all the way down. If he does, great. On your first verbal command, if you tell him down and he lays down, perfect. We can reward that behavior. If not, we're going to tell him no, follow through with our training equipment, and then ask the command again. That way he understands that when we give a command, he needs to do it the first time we ask, not the seventh time we ask. So then as we're walking around and distractions are happening, it's always a good idea to remind him of what he should be doing by repeating the command down to let him know that, hey, you're doing a good job. I want you to stay in that command. And then, of course, we go up to him, good boy, and then we can tell him free. So then we have place. Place is going to be used in the house, especially around the cats or Annie when they're having a really high value treat like a bone. That way they don't try and steal each other's. Place means stay on this boundary until you're told free. So as long as all four paws are on this boundary, he can sit, stand, lay down, roll over as long as he stays within that bed boundary, which we recommend an elevated bed so that he understands where the boundary is. So he needs to stay there when the cats are hanging out, when he's getting that high value treat. If he gets off of the bed before you tell him free, no, follow through with the training equipment. The first few times you practice this command in the house, I recommend having a leash on Ziggy. That way, if he does get off because of the temptations of playing with the cats, no, we fix him, we put him back onto the bed with ease because he had the leash on versus trying to navigate him without a leash. Once he understands the boundary and that you're going to stay consistent, then you can work on fading the leash away in that training scenario. When he is doing a good job of staying on place, especially with distractions around, we're going to reward that behavior by putting treats on the bed, letting him know, hey, staying on here, even with these big distractions, is always a good idea. And then when we're ready for him to be done with place, go up to him, good place, and tell him free. Then we have leave it. Leave it means don't grab that or stop grabbing that. So we can practice with treats on the floor, dropping a treat, telling him leave it, or if he has that high value bone and let's say Annie's starting to walk by, we would tell Ziggy to leave it. That way he is less tempted to try and guard that bone from Annie. We're going to try and prevent that with having them on place only when they get bones, but sometimes things happen. So we want to practice that leave it command so he knows, oh, I'm supposed to leave this. If he does, great. If not, if you have to correct any of the behavior, we're going to say no, follow through with the black S button, and then repeat the command again. That way he understands that any consequence comes from us, not from the cats, not from Annie. He had that consequence because we said so and you didn't listen to the command, not anybody else in the house. And then we have come when called. So we're going to tell him free, he can run around. Then we want him to come back to us. We're going to tell him come, praise as he comes into our space, have him sit, and then reward. We don't put him in a sit, back up 10 feet, and then call him. We want him exploring because that's the most realistic time that we're going to need Ziggy to come back to us. He's not going to be sitting and waiting for our next command. He's going to be out exploring, and we might need his attention. So we're going to say, Ziggy, come. As he runs to you, great. We're going to praise and reward that by praising the action and backing up, inviting him into our space, have him sit, and then reward that behavior. You want to make sure you reward that command come every single time because you want to make sure he has a strong reward history of doing that behavior for us because come when called is such an important command for our dogs to listen to. So build that reward history with all of your commands of rewarding it consistently. That way he has a good time listening to the commands for us at home. And then we can slowly fade away from those in the future. So those are Ziggy's commands. You want to make sure you reinforce and reward the behaviors you want to continue to see. That's going to increase the rate of those behaviors. Stay consistent, follow through with our training equipment to correct unwanted behaviors, and you'll decrease the rate of those behaviors. So you want to have fun, stay consistent, and now we're going to show you Ziggy's commands. Ziggy, down. Good boy. Good, down. Down. Good, down. Good, down. Good, down. Down. Good boy. Good, down. Free. Good boy. Okay, so let's go over the rest of the features of the remote collar. So we know how to turn the collar on. You're going to turn it off the same way with the red dots, the red dot on the collar or the remote, touching the red dot on the collar. Red means off, green means on. Same thing with the on-off button in the back. If we push and hold it, it'll turn it off, push and hold it, and it turns it back on. So we know the black S button is level 25 on the remote collar. What is the red S button? So that is going to add 20 to whatever level is on the screen. So this is for emergencies only. We have not needed this for Ziggy, but you have it just in case. This is, for example, you would use this if he's outside and starts running towards the road after a bunny or a squirrel and you, Ziggy, come, no, and you try correcting with this, his adrenaline is way up here and level 25 can reach about here. So that's why we have that plus 20, which will equal 40 to match his adrenaline and snap him back to reality and go, oh shoot, I'm not supposed to be running for this, and start to pay attention to what your command is, which is going to be come back to you, the come command. So haven't needed this for Ziggy, but you have that emergency button just in case. We also have this button, which is vibrate. That can be used for a warning, but it's also great to push the vibrate button a few times before you put this collar on Ziggy so you know that it's actually on and ready to go and that we didn't just put a dead collar on Ziggy, because he is smart. Dogs are very smart. They'll be able to figure out when you can and can't follow through with our command. So it's important to have him wear this every single day, 12 to 14 hours a day. It comes off at night. Okay, so let's talk about level 25. So this level works for Ziggy right now, but we might have to adjust it. Right now it's locked because the 1D at the top here is solid. We're going to push down and hold the dial. Now the 1D is flashing and you can change the level. So if you notice that he's not really respecting level 25 and you're having to push it over and over again, it's time to turn it up to 30. If you notice that he's having a dramatic response, you can bump it down to 20 or 15. Now, level 25 is working for him, but this can change with the level of distractions. If we're in a more distracting environment, he might need a higher level. If we're in a lower distraction environment, he might need a lower level. It all changes based on him and the environment and, of course, his age as he matures with the training. So once we have it to the level we want, lock down, and now we won't accidentally turn it up or down for Ziggy. The M/C button changes it from momentary to continuous. So if you notice when I push and hold, you'll see the black or the red lights. They only flash that quick second because it's a momentary stimulation. So that's what he needs right now. He does not need the continuous. That was used early on in training at a lower level. On-off button in the back. If we tap it, it activates the flashlight feature so we can see Ziggy at night. So we love that feature. This is rechargeable, charging ports on the back. It'll last about 2 days on a charge. So how you want to do this is you want to turn the collar on in the morning. Here's the charging port. It's underneath here. You want to turn the collar on in the morning and then put it on Ziggy, and he can wear it again all day, 12 to 14 hours a day. Take it off at night, and you can charge it at night. But it'll last 2 full days on a charge, at least it should. So then you want to make sure he wears this every day. That way you can follow through with the commands every single day. Because dogs are smart, he will eventually learn that sometimes when mom gives me a command and I don't do it, nothing happens. So then he'll start to figure out when he can and can't get away with certain things. We just want him to assume we have that power every single time. So he needs to just listen to our commands, and then we can slowly fade this away if we're consistent enough with it. In this box here, we have his charging port, which will charge both the remote and the collar at the same time. We have an extra lanyard. You have this clicker for clicker training if you want to use it, but we just use praise to reinforce the behavior that we're after instead of clicking and then giving a treat. Now, Ziggy does have pretty long hair, but right now the short prongs are working for him, but you have these extended prongs if you think you need those, and this is the little tool to change them out. It's really easy to do, but I think right now the short prongs are working for him. But if you notice he's not responding to the level, I would go ahead and change it. The instruction manual to go over all the buttons in greater detail, and then how to use the clicker if you want to use that. We just use verbal praise instead of clicking. This does have a 2-year full warranty, so if anything happens with the model, you can get it replaced. And that pretty much goes over the other features of the remote collar. We already know how to use the prong, pop and release, no constant tension on the lead. Have fun, stay consistent. Let us know if you have any questions.